We are going to be doing a front brake pad change on this 2015 Honda Fit. This is a 3rd gen, and the tools you'll need were going to be a 19 mil for getting the lug nuts off, as well as a 12 mil for getting the caliper bolts off on this thing. And before you get started, make sure your car's on relatively level ground, and there's a jack point right behind the front tire like this. You're gonna want to make sure you jack up from there, nowhere else, otherwise you might damage the car. And we'll get started, so stay tuned. Okay, so here's the car with the wheel off, and I put a second jack stand right here underneath the frame of the car just to have some extra protection. I'm still holding it up right here, and I also put the tire right there in case this thing does fall. At least you got as many things as you can to protect you. And then now we're looking at the brake rotor as well as the caliper itself. And so this guy right here and this guy right there are both the 12 mil bolts that we're going to be taking off. These are the 12 mil bolts that we got off, and now that they're out, you can basically wiggle this thing away. You can use a little pry if you want to help separate it. And you want to be careful when this thing falls because it is a brake line right here, so you don't want to strain it. So we're just gonna wheel this out and then come up like this and just kind of rest right there. And these are your 2 brake pads. On your new brake pads, there's going to be a wear indicator that I'll show you guys in a sec, but the wear indicator pad goes inboard, and then the one with no wear indicator is going to be the outboard one, this outer one right here. And then the other thing you're going to have to do is come in and push this cylinder back in, and I'll show you guys a trick with a C-clamp like that to do this. So basically the way these come out is you come in with like a pry bar or flathead screwdriver, and they should just kind of slide out like that. And I'm gonna go grab the new pads. So here are our new pads. This is the inboard one with that wear indicator, and this is the outboard one that we just took off. This is a good time to use some brake grease. This was like $5 for a pound of it at the store, so don't spend too much money on it. And basically you're going to look to apply the brake grease where these pads are going to be sliding. So what happens is this caliper right here pushes on them and pinches them onto the rotor. So places to apply brake grease or just a little coat is going to be basically on this outer edge right there and there, because you can see where that shiny part is. That's where they rub when they go on and off of the rotor. And then if you want to put a little bit on, you can also put one around this clip right there too. So I'm going to do that. Right, and on this piston right here, you can see how it's pushed out a little bit. So basically what we're going to be doing is we're going to be compressing this back in, and the way to do that is you can take an old brake pad like this, and we're just going to put it on top right there. And then we're going to take our C-clamp, and we're going to be hooking this, so the far end is going to be going around this. You don't want to push on the valve or anything, we just want to push there. And the front end, you're going to put around the brake pad. Okay, this is how things should look as you're doing this thing. So as I rotate this and hold this piece, you can see that the piston right here is getting pushed in. That moves very slowly. We want to be really careful when you do this. We're basically pushing the caliper in so that it can accept the new brake pads with the more meat on them, and so that's what it should look like. We've got our 2 12 mil bolts. They're both the same length back on. Put a little bit of grease on them just so they don't get seized or anything. And then you can see where the grease was for where we put on the new pads, just so that they can slide freely inside the caliper like this. And so now we're going to be basically just tightening these guys back up. Another thing you can do is you can come in with some more brake grease, and you can put it lightly in these areas just to help the wheel not get seized onto the axle or the rotor like this. And you just want to be careful you don't put too much, because if you get the grease on the rotor itself, it decreases your braking performance.